Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Welcome back to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. This is Michelle Wong, and it's been a hot minute. Basically 2 years, I think, since my last episode dropped, and I'm really excited to be back and share some updates, what to expect moving forward. And yeah, this is the longest hiatus I've taken since the creation of this podcast back in 2019. And, a lot has happened in the last 2 years, and personally, collectively, all the things. Coming back is almost like greasing the wheels again, getting things moving again. And I expect a new, probably a refresh of audience, listeners. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for hitting play and tuning in. Maybe you're curious to what I've been up to. And I'm just grateful that you are tuning in. And if this is brand new for you, welcome. Thank you. So I've been thinking a lot about this podcast, and just to kind of, bring you back to the title of the podcast, Sacred Emergence. I really feel like I nailed the title of the podcast because, the emergence is, in my opinion, almost like this upward spiral, right? It's like the cyclical upward process of we are perfect as we are, and from that place, we're continuing to unfurl. We're continuing to emerge and blossom and bloom. And it's like a cycle, right? It's like our bodies refresh and regenerate our cells every 7 years. And nature does that, right? It has its own seasons, its own cycles. And so breaks are good. I celebrate it. I recommend it. I encourage it. And when it's time to return, the timing is perfect. So Sacred Emergence for me is I'm just really proud of the name because it is very apropos. Yeah, so I always imagine like a flower that's budding, and then it's over time it blossoms, and then it dies, and then the seeds regrow, and it's like this part of nature, right? Anyway, all that said, I was thinking a lot about the direction of this podcast, and I have a few updates. So this podcast was started back in 2019, and I was consistently pumping out weekly podcast episodes, be it a solo episode that I recorded, or it was an interview with, a guest that I was excited to share with you and to, interview and learn more about them. For 3 years, it was consistent weekly. And then after that, I forget what year it was, maybe it was 2023, I decided to offer seasons, right? So chunks of episodes within a certain time frame, and following my manifestor urge. If you understand human design, you'll understand what I mean. And then just go with I might take breaks in between a season. And this past break was 2 years, and I've decided to kind of drop the seasons. And then what I'll do instead is create episodes a la carte as I feel inspired, creating solo episodes or interview guests and share that a la carte. And I'm not going to stick to any weekdays of the week, and it's not going to be weekly, but it'll be like, boom, here you go. So if you are on my mailing list, you'll get an update for podcast episodes that come through, or if you subscribe to the podcast, you'll get it. A few changes on that as well, though. So I've decided to, since last year, I actually really pulled myself out of social media, particularly Facebook and Instagram, and just like for a lot of different reasons, but and just really feeling into where do I really want to create home base for me online. And what is feeling really good right now is Substack. Substack actually has a really great platform that builds community. And what that allows is for me to actually generate my podcasts on there. And I can still publish it out to other podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, etc., YouTube. And then I can also write posts on Substack. And then what else? And there's a community. There's actually a social media. I mean, it's not as like busy as, as Facebook and Instagram, but I feel like I can really land in the Substack ecosystem. So I'll share a link in my show notes on Substack, to Substack. And something else to be aware of is I've decided to put more personal episodes for these podcast episodes on Substack. And depending on how I feel, I'll probably keep the solo episodes, something like the one I'm recording right now. I'll keep it only on Substack. This particular episode, since it's like a reintroduction, a welcome back, it's going to be published across all podcast platforms. But I just feel like some episodes are probably more personal, and it doesn't need to be broadcasted out. It's like if someone just decided to come onto my podcast and click on the episode, it's like, who is this person? And so definitely guest interviews will be broadcasted everywhere. And then the solo episodes will most likely only, depending on the actual topic, will be on Substack. And then some will have a paywall, like they'll be subscriber only, depending on, I just feel like some things are personally shared and it's meant to be for a select audience. Those want to be in closer community with me. And the topics will range, and that will include some of the writings as well. So that is quite a big shift. But if you subscribe to, Apple Podcasts, whatever, you'll get the majority of the interviews. And also come over to Substack. Join me there. I'm excited. There's lots of great writing and really amazing people who write on Substack, and there's great podcast interviews, and it's a cohesive ecosystem. And I appreciate what they're creating for creators. All right, what else is there? A few updates in my own life. So let's see, I'm trying to think back. My last episode drop, I believe, was around, I don't know if it was the exact last episode drop, but I did share an episode on the way of the rose and my relationship to the rosary. And honestly, that has still been like life-changing for me. And as a former Catholic who really resisted the idea of even going near the rosary, it's interesting because when I was Catholic, I didn't really pray the rosary. Not at all. I owned one. It was only like, I don't know how many years, over 10 years of me no longer being Catholic and reading The Way of the Rose book by Perdita Finn and Clark Strand that I dipped my toe into praying the rosary. And what I love about it is it actually is not religious. And it really is a beautiful way to connect with the divine feminine, particularly with Mother Mary, and and really like connecting to nature and Mother Earth. And it's a perfect segue to share what I'm up to this year. So I decided to sign up for a herbal apprenticeship this year. I just feel, for a lot of different reasons. One is, for me personally, I really want to have a deeper connection with nature. And I don't want to study plants and herbs behind a screen per se, like not interested in that. I really want to be in nature, in person, in nature, and learn to connect with plants at a deeper level, learn to receive wisdom from them, to really honor sacred reciprocity. It is very common, unfortunately, in our culture across the entire world to just take from nature, right? We just take. And we forget that we are of nature. We are part of nature. So it's like it's just very, anyways, so my contribution to all of this is I want to reconnect and help restore nature, and share nature in a way that is grounding, and for those that resonate with me, a way to reintroduce the relationship with nature on personal levels with people. Like, people have their own relationship, and help people cultivate that, however that looks like. I don't have an agenda personally, like how it's going to be. This is just my inspiration. And I signed up for 2 apprenticeship programs. One is online. I'm really excited about the one online, particularly because it has the exact curriculum I want. It's got the witchiness that I want, and also the practicalness, but it is online, right? So I found an in-person one that I'm equally very excited about, because it's very practical, and also like has a way of really respecting herbs and plants in the wild. And how do we work with the plants? How do we respect the plants, and also have the plant support for our own health and well-being? And I'm excited for both. And as I mentioned, I don't really have I think both of them, you're an herbalist at the end, like you get the certification, or you get a certificate of completion, I should say. And I'm not really interested in being an herbalist. That's, I don't really have like a goal of like creating a business as an herbalist and taking clients for herbal consults. Like, that's not really what I'm envisioning. And I actually don't really have like an idea. Like, what I'm very inspired and motivated by is to let the plants during this year, or maybe 2 years, we'll see, let my connection with the plants inform me of what is next with the plants. And how do I want my life to unfold from here? So I'm super excited about that, and I'm definitely be sharing my experience through my podcasts and through my writings, so expect that. And what else is there? Breathwork. Oh, I need to celebrate. So last March, I finished my 400-hour certification with my breathwork training. Dang, that was like a 2-year process. 400 hours. The program that I did it through, Breath Liberation Society, it was an accredited program. And so I'm technically like accredited. And anyways, like the fact that I put in 400 hours, I'm really proud of, and it's complete. And continue to expect breathwork opportunities. Most right now it's virtual, but over time I'm hoping to offer in-person ones. And I feel like right now breathwork is so potent. The system for it is we just need it in this time, like to be able to hold activation, to be able to work with activation. It's important in this, where we are right now in the world, rather than collapsing or like just, I think being able to have the resource to hold the activation and be able to respond back to it in a very strong way, like an internal strength is important, rather than like going into collapse mode. And very few self-care offerings out there do that, I'm all about restorative, calm, resourcing ourselves, nervous system regulation work, but it doesn't always mean going into collapse, right? Like, or do nothing. Like, I think we need some activation. And I forget what year it was. I've been working with, studying with Kimberly Ann Johnson, who wrote the book Call of the Wild, Activate Your Inner Jaguar. I've gone to 2 of her December retreats. I've attended a lot of her courses online, and just really recommend her work to really close nervous system loops and to integrate the work into our lives so that we can get out of freeze mode, and we can learn to be in a healthy state of fight mode, which I feel can sound intimidating, like a turn off, but it's healthy. We have different states of our nervous system, and being able to respond in a healthy way in a fight mode, it doesn't mean we're physically fighting, but it's standing up for ourselves, using our voice, saying the thing that we want to say, right? Those are all really important. Anyways, so all that to say, that's what I've been working on personally. And I actually have stories to share around how I'm integrating the work. And I feel there was another episode drop that I did before the break, the 2-year hiatus. I think it was back in 2024, early 2024, where I shared how I was integrating the work with the hot chocolate story. If you haven't heard that, go and listen to it. But just integrating the work in real life, like real time, Anyways, so I'm sure I'll have more stories. I do have one that I will share at a separate episode about integrating the work in the wild, in nature, in the jungle. So expect something to drop soon, either a podcast episode and or a written post about it. But with stories, it's nice to hear it. So anyways, what else is there for updates? And I might have shared, I don't know if I did or not, but I've been in a beautiful relationship with this amazing human, this amazing man. And I expect personal episode, solo episodes, the ones that are behind a paywall will be more stories and lessons and navigating relationship stuff. That would probably be behind a paywall, just because it's more personal. And so, but I'm in a very happy relationship, and I attribute the rosary, really, the rosary, just really grounding in the feminine, divine feminine, and just if you haven't read The Way of the Rose, I recommend it. You can listen to it on audio book, but it's just beautiful. And tune into that episode if you haven't tuned into that. And I think that's about it. Those are my updates for you. You might be wondering about human design. That's going to just weave into my work. I was going to say, if I do have, client work or in group programs or one-on-one, human design is just going to weave in to the work. I'm so I've integrating human design, embodying it, really sensing into my own design and all that. I mean, that has been a journey, and just owning who I am, and just really understanding who I am. Those are all aspects that I've integrated with human design, and that takes time. And when I first started learning about human design, offering human design readings, there was very little, I feel, out there on human design. It was very esoteric, and the literature on it was not clear. It was kind of confusing. Fast forward 5-6 years later, it's like everybody, human design's everywhere, and there's podcasts, there's lots of content and resource. I would say some better than others, to be honest. And I think the most important thing is integrating, embodying it, living the experiment. So that the best way to do that is through working with clients, working in group programs, and weaving it in versus offering a reading and here you go, you know what I mean? Anyways, so what I offer, who I am, it's all a layering, a scaffolding of what I offer is an integration of all the things that I'm passionate about. And it's pretty clear that I'm a lifelong learner and I love to learn. Obviously things that I'm excited about. And this year I'm very excited about plants and cultivating a really cool relationship with plants, which is kind of ironic because I do not own a single house plant for lots of reasons, mostly because I cannot keep them alive. Anyways, I wanted to keep this reintroduction back to the podcast shorter. I wanted to keep it 20 minutes. I'm a little over 20 minutes, so I'm just going to end here. And definitely more to come. And stay tuned. Thank you for listening. Thank you for pressing play. And I look forward to connecting with you this year and beyond. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.